Hey guys, I just got finished playing Doki Doki Literature Club. Yeah, I feel this was a so-so kind of game, not really that thrilled by it. I kind of knew the spoiler going in, so maybe that was part of it, that I knew, oh yeah, the game is actually evil and they're kind of out to get you kind of thing. But even knowing that, I play other games like, this side and whatever my side, and it's still, interesting. But here, I knew that Monica was the villain, and going into it, the first three chapters are pretty much like a standard visual novel, and then after that, it turns into a proper deconstruction, I guess, kind of game. And so it's kind of interesting how they do some of the effects, because some of them are very realistic and some of them really aren't. For example, when they do a blue screen of death, that really got me. I'm also just used to playing, I guess, not a lot of visual novels, but I've played a couple very long ones. So I'm very used to going through these things pretty quickly. And I felt that maybe the opening acts took a bit long. It is interesting, though, how you have each character that kind of becomes distorted or demented in some way. So your childhood friend Sayori, you end up liking some other girl, and she's so crestfallen that she ends up killing herself. The other characters end up getting diluted by Monica, and she kind of reveals. I thought it was going to be more of another loop where you would fall in love with someone else, and then Monica would make some kind of excuse why they died. What I did enjoy, though, I didn't feel it was done super effectively, is how the poetry changed over the course of the game. I thought it was a really fascinating, cool idea that despite how anime and cutesy the characters are acting, whether for over embellishment or irony, I like the idea that the irony is the thing that shows their true nature of their soul. That despite how they look and talk and feel, essentially, from the music and whatever, the poetry reveals their true essence, and it's much deeper, darker, and frankly more interesting. And my favorite one, I guess if I had to choose one, was Yuri, because she liked nuanced, metaphorical, dark themes. And I was surprised that the character was like that in this game, even though it was kind of a joke game, quote unquote. And yeah, it's kind of it's interesting, but it's not that interesting. It's like, what if game of certain theme was ungenuine and opposite, what it was actually evil and bad. But more so, I think it does take an interesting turn where Monica is an entity within the game and wants to possess you. And I guess it's okay how they ramped up her character. It just generally makes sense how it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere a little bit, because she doesn't really have a super affectionate attachment to you. She doesn't have a real strong reason for wanting to be with you, other than the fact that she's also another sentient being. I did really enjoy the puzzle where you had to navigate into the file directory in your Steam folder and delete her character file. I thought that was pretty cool. It reminded me of the only other game that has done that is One Shot. And One Shot is, well, I mean, it's one of my favorite games ever. Definitely one of my favorite PC games ever. And I really, really enjoyed how, I don't know, how that made me feel. That you feel kind of in control. But again, there's a lot of things in here that are kind of a one-off thing. It's kind of gimmicky. It's kind of like, well, okay, I did that one thing and that's it. So it's very experimental, kind of very a service level in a lot of ways. It's just, oh, what if these characters were hyper violently died? And I guess if you're just, new, or just expecting the visual novel to not be by the book, then yeah, it's pretty shocking. But no one plays this game thinking, oh, this is, well, I mean, at this point, remember when it first came out, it was regarded as a real a real legit VN. But if you're kind of selling it on the premise that there's something weird and off about it, then that's what people come in kind of expecting at a certain point. And yeah, it plays it very straight as a romantic VN for the first half, and the second half they have cool effects where the character's eyes go black and little effects. And I appreciated that. I thought it was cool, but I wanted to have more, I guess, significance when the characters are saying certain things or certain situations, and they kind of took all the aspects of the game and really decompiled it. I guess the one thing that I enjoyed as a mini game, really surprisingly enjoying, was the poetry mechanic in between each day. You would go to a journal and you have to choose 20 words out of a selection of 10, and you'd have to do that 20 times, or you have to choose a word out of a selection of 10 20 times, and that would be your poem. And it didn't really matter, I think, what you put in. You didn't get to see your poem at the end of the day, and it really was kind of randomly generated because I couldn't have a predefined dialogue for every dynamic poem mechanic or variety. I couldn't tell if the little sprites of the characters were jumping because those words reflected or related to that character, or if it was semi-random, in which case it would be telling the player that, oh, you need to choose these certain words to get with this certain girl's route, for example. I did really like certain aspects where it deletes all your save files, it bars you from loading or quitting at a certain point. One example of the poetry that Monica does is it's the same poem she did last loop, but in this loop, essentially, certain words are capitalized. I thought, oh, that's a good way to show cycle or reference. And I just felt like by the time that poetry had revealed itself, that it would already been revealed that we are in a loop. And I think it would be more interesting to have the poetry act as a form, to do exactly what it did just earlier in the game. I think would have been really cool, and kind of maybe cut down on the actual VN aspects and focus more on revealing the nature of the world. Again, I like it and I really don't like it simply because it feels a little bit shallow that, okay, Monica's evil and she's psychotic and this is an anti-VN romance game. And that's all it is. And it's kind of unfortunate that I came into this with those expectations. My expectations were basically met. I always come in with low expectations and saying that even if a game has 10 out of 10, I kind of say this is garbage, and unless proven otherwise in the moment with my personal experience, I won't allow that to influence me. That will be my test and my dictum while operating in the game world. And it just says, look, you either got it or you don't. It doesn't matter if you're sequel to my favorite game. We just need to know what you're up about. And so, yeah, Doki Doki, I can't really recommend it. If you know the basic premise of the game, that it's evil and Monica's this entity that's trying to consume you, that's pretty much the game. That's it. There's this whole section at the end where Monica has a turn of heart, and she realizes that what she's doing, consuming you, is not what people who love each other do to each other. And so she rescinds everything, and she actually deletes herself, and then she has the scenario play out as normal. And then I think Sayori speaks up saying that she knows what happened, and she says this is for the best, and that Monica should have killed herself anyway. So all these women are trying to kill themselves, trying to get to you, basically. And so when she says that Monica, who has become the pseudo god of this world, pipes up essentially and deletes the whole world. And I really did like this part where it was so committed that even as the credits are scrolling, it's deleting all the images and data and menus and stuff. And the game will close by the time the credits roll, and it'll say something on the screen essentially that the game can't be launched, it can't be accessed, crucial files are missing. And of course you can go to the Steam apps folder and see that most of them are still pretty much all there. And but I thought it was really interesting that even from the Steam page, when I click play, it goes back to that last poem end screen along with the system error saying that the game can be started. I really appreciate the dedication to that. It was really cool that the game just said, look, the game is over, you cannot even go and replay the beginning unless you reinstall it, I guess. I found that to be pretty ballsy, frankly, and a really unique experience. But overall, again, it's not. I still wasn't super impressed because I had a notion of what the twist was going to be, and the full context wasn't deeper than that notion, and that is just not a big win for me. It's not a big deal. And people say, oh well, if you played it blind, well, I mean, there's even other games that say that annoying about Aerith dying in Final Fantasy VII, even seeing that scene play out and having the full context of what she's doing it, why she's doing it, where they are, and all that stuff, and then knowing why she dies, it still hits really really hard. Whereas in this case, the context is not super deep. It's just that she wants to be with you because she's the only other sentient person on this side of the screen, and that's it. It's if we were to compare it to my side, it's really, because a lot of people were comparing my side to this game. My side is much much better, much more interesting, much more dynamic with how many dimensions and versions, and playing with the idea of different versions of a character and different versions of a game. The sleepy version, the cool version, etc. The animation, the type of font style, the different dynamics of the characters, and the ultimate conclusion of the game. And just the user interface is just really slick. It's a much better game, I guess. And this feels very experimental and I guess cool at the time. But yeah, I just can't help but feel disappointed that it's not more than what I perceived it to be. Whereas with other games, I think, oh, this game's a piece of garbage, or this game is just Animal Crossing with whatever, and I go and I play it and I say, whoa, this is actually really, really good. So unfortunately, this game kind of underwhelmed me. It is what it is, and it's not anything more than that, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. Anyway, that's it, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.